Everybody talks about how many calories you need while hiking the Appalachian Trail. But have you ever wondered how much protein you might need? It's not an excessive amount of protein, but whether you're following a carnivore diet, vegetarian diet, or a standard diet, you're going to need a certain amount of protein. This is Dave. I am 13 days away from getting on the Appalachian Trail. And just recently, I was given a surprise party by a bunch of my friends and family. I got this cool hat. My brother gave me his 40-year-old compass. And another friend gave me a sit pad. So I want to thank everybody for coming to that, if they watch this video. Exactly, right? So in this video, we're going to talk about how much protein you're going to need per day while hiking the Appalachian Trail, what that protein looks like, the required amount of protein looks like, and what foods are good sources, whether you're on a carnivore diet, a vegetarian, or the standard American diet. But first, let me briefly talk about what affects your needs as far as protein while out hiking. First of all, the size of the person is gonna be, one of the determining factors. My wife is, 5'2", 110 pounds. I'm 5'4", right now I'm 190, so we're going to have a much different need when it comes to proteins. Also, our lean body mass is different, so that's going to affect it. Gender, males and females have different requirements as far as proteins. Fitness level. The more fit you are, the more efficient you become with your food and your food intake and how you process that food, especially proteins. And then the quality of the protein as well as the bioavailability of the protein. I'm not going to get too much into that, but let's just say that protein powder is going to have less bioavailability. I can't even say that word. Less bioavailability than a steak, where the protein is going to be more readily absorbed by the body. So how much protein do we need when we are hiking the AT? I went to several different sources, so I am going to share on the screen right here, and then I'll also put a link in the description below so that you can kind of take a closer look, because I'm just going to skim through some of this information. But from, I'll call them 5 reputable sources, which includes the Institute of Medicine, World Health Organization, Dietary Guidelines for Americans, American Heart Association, and the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. The recommended percent of your calories is between 10% and 35% of your total intake of calories. So the protein needs, as far as grams per kilo, again, 6 different sources that I have. I'm going to read them. British Heart Foundation, thru-hiker.com. That was a pretty interesting article that person wrote. Harvard University, Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, the Mayo Clinic, and Healthline. The grams per kilo ranged from 0.75 grams per kilogram of what they call body weight, right? But that means more like lean body mass. If you're severely obese, your protein needs don't go up because of that weight, but as if you were in the normal range of weight. That's how I read this. Please again comment below if I'm inaccurate in that. It goes from 0.75 all the way up to 1.2 to 2.0 grams per kilos, but it all ranges around 1 gram per kilo, and you can look at that. I'll post that as well and share it in the description. So that brings us to looking at how much somebody weighs, right? And then how much their needs are. And I made this big, giant, fancy graph that I'm going to share with you, but I'm going to just talk about my weight as my normal weight, and that say would be about 140 to 150 pounds without all the extra body fat that I have. So let's go with 150. And if I'm going to look at it as 0.8 grams per kilo, all the way up to 2.0 grams per kilo, because from anything that I read, you're going to need more protein the longer you hike. Some of the sources were more for like long distance cycling, lifting weights, any activity where you're going to be performing that over a longer period of time. That's going to help. Also, I have this fancy watch which tells me, I don't know how accurate it is, but how many calories I burn, in the day and whatnot. So if I were to take 10 to 35%, probably leaning towards the 35%, I would get maybe a more accurate number. But for me, my range was between 54.5, like on a normal day hike, all the way up to 136.4 grams of protein that I'm going to need per day on the Appalachian Trail. Which that actually covers the first 2 points, basically how much protein you need, and then what does that look like. So the what does that look like portion of the question is in the big fancy graph. You can look at your lean body mass, and then you can go over based on how much grams per protein that you might need, and to come up with your answer. So if you like my content, please subscribe. Also, if you want to share this with anybody who might benefit, especially people that are going on the trail or most likely on the trail. There's a lot of people, and I am just so excited to watch everybody else's YouTube videos so that I can kind of get a sense of what they're dealing with and what they're trying to manage as they hike the AT, and then see what to expect from me when I leave in less than 2 weeks. So on to the third point. What types of foods are good to carry on the Appalachian Trail? Depending on your diet, that's going to make a difference, right? So I have a nice little table that I created. This is not in any particular order as far as carnivore, vegetarian, or standard diet, but it just gives you a sense of how much protein is in each type of food. So for example, I'm going to be carrying a lot of dehydrated meats. Beef jerky, for example, has 9 grams of protein per serving, and the serving is a 1 ounce serving. Nuts and seeds, almonds, a 1/4 cup of almonds is 7 grams, and you'll have this this big chart so you can really dive into it. I don't know if vegetarians are eating textured vegetable protein. It might be in some freeze-dried foods and whatnot, but that 1/2 cup of that has about 12 grams. And let's see, whey protein powder, a scoop of that is 24 grams. So that's a big bang for your buck. But I would also, in these protein sources, I'd also look to see the bioavailability. You might need more protein because your body's not going to absorb it depending on which type you have. This video is not talking about that, but just keep that in mind. And then take a close look at this to really give you some ideas on what type of protein sources that you want to take while you're on the Appalachian Trail, because you might take some, like for me, I can't carry a steak on my back. I mean, I could, it would be an attractant. So I'm not going to do that. But you also have to see how much weight these things weigh. I'm bringing a lot of freeze-dried meat, and that is extremely light. Even, a cup of meat, which then, you rehydrate at camp, isn't going to weigh a lot in my pack. So we'll just keep that in mind. But if you want to learn more about kind of how I'm eating or I'm preparing to eat on a carnivore diet or a mostly animal-based diet while hiking the Appalachian Trail, I have a whole bunch of videos in a playlist. You could look at that on my YouTube channel. I do have a friend who we were talking in a group, and they had me stand up when I was at this, this fancy surprise party, and I said, "Oh, and I'm going to be eating as a carnivore." And from the back of the room, she is one of my best friends. I won't say her name because she wants to keep that private. She yelled from the back of the room, like, "You'll make it 2 weeks." And maybe I will make it 2 weeks on my carnivore diet, but I will stay mostly animal-based. I'll do my best on that. I will report it back because I feel like, the world needs to know. And if I get to the halfway point and I want to have a half-gallon challenge and throw up, which is probably going to happen, I can, because it's my choices, hiking my own hike. But anyhow, so if you like this video, like it, subscribe to my channel, and share. I am going to be on the AT in less than 2 weeks. And dust off your bucket list, and happy hiking.